Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing three 5-gallon buckets from one from Home Depot and the other from Lowe's and the third from Walmart. I'm going to review their physical sizes, their advantages, disadvantages, and also on top of that various different lids that you can use on these buckets, like these, okay? And including the Gamma food grade seal. So I'm going to test them all and see how they all come up and what advantages one has over the others. Though they may look the same size and they say they're all 5-gallon buckets, they're actually not the same size. Believe it or not, the Home Depot bucket is slightly larger than the other two. Okay, so the Home Depot bucket from the bottom to the top of the lip is 14 3/8 inches, and the other two are 13 7/8 inches from the bottom to the top. So the Home Depot bucket is slightly larger than the rest. Two of these buckets are actually manufactured by the same manufacturer. The Lowe's and the Walmart bucket are identical, and they're made by Encore Plastics Corp. Okay. I did not see any physical difference in the size of these two buckets at all, and the construction of them, maybe a slight difference is this little ring here around the lip. The bottom, there's the top lip here, and there's this ring here, and this ring here, and it seems to be that this one is slightly lower than this one. That's the only difference I saw there, and what difference that makes in the utility of the bucket is, you know, strictly beyond me. I don't see really any difference other than that. So there is a slight physical difference between these two buckets, but I don't see any difference that would make a difference in me purchasing one over the other as far as physical attributes go. Now, the Home Depot bucket is manufactured by Leak-Tite Corp or Leak-Tite, and as are several of these lids that I have that I'm going to display to you. It is slightly larger. It is physically different. The differences are the little rim here where you can put your fingers under and lift up these two other buckets. I can actually get my finger all the way underneath there and get a really good grip on that. This lip is much narrower, and I can just get my fingertips under it, and that's about it. So this one would require a little bit more effort to hold and lift that way. As well, the seals on both of these buckets are round. They're a round lip around the top, and this one has a flat edge, and I'll show you a better angle on this so you can see it. But basically the seals are different. Not sure if this is going to show up on camera or not, but basically the lip on the Home Depot bucket has a flat surface on it, whereas the lip on the Lowe's and the Walmart bucket, or the what do you call it, the Encore Corp bucket has a rounded edge. Not sure which one's going to form a better seal, but I'm going to test them both and see what happens. Okay, the next difference between these two buckets would be, number one, the handles. The metal or wire, or the metal that they use on the Encore Corp Plastics buckets or the Walmart and Lowe's bucket is much thinner than the metal on the Home Depot Homer bucket. So I'm going to measure them out here. I'm going to do them both in metric and in imperial and show you the differences here. Alright, the Home Depot one is 3 millimeters, 0.749. I was 3.749 millimeters. It is 3.172 millimeters. So let's do that in inches. So 0.1472 inches on the Home Depot. I'm going to do it again. Yeah, 1472. 0.12525. So 0.12525 on the Lowe's or Walmart bucket. Okay, so to review, for all those who think a 5-gallon bucket is a 5-gallon bucket, That's not true. The Home Depot is the clear winner here as far as the tougher bucket because of the handle, and because it's slightly larger than the other two. I would say it's probably a better work bucket than the Lowe's or Walmart bucket. Just from my observations here, I think it's the better of the three physically. Now, I haven't tested the seals on all these buckets to see how well it seals and how well they put up with a drop test. At this point, I'd say that the Home Depot is the better bucket. But there is a caveat. The Walmart bucket, which is identical to the Lowe's bucket, is $2.58. Okay? The other two are $2.85 each. So if I were going to pay $2.85 for one of these two buckets right now, I would say I'd go for the Home Depot. But like I said, I got to test the lids and how they seal and how well they seal. Note that none of these buckets are food grade quality. They are what they call HDPE number 2. Now, you can buy HDPE number 2 that is food grade quality, but those buckets cost much more. You can check with the manufacturer to see if they are food grade or not, but personally, I would never put food into one of these plastic buckets without using a liner of some type, like a Mylar, 5-gallon Mylar bag or something like that. Something that's food grade, rated. So, I mean, if a food grade rated bucket is way more money than these buckets are. But if you use a Mylar liner, you'll save yourself a lot of money because the Mylar liners are cheap and they fit into these buckets no problem, and they keep the food from making contact with the plastic. So in that case, you can use any of these three buckets for food storage, with the caveat that you have to use a food grade liner inside. Okay, so next I'm going to test the seals on all three of these buckets, and with water, see how watertight they are, and the lids as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the lids quickly. All right, lids. I got 4 different kinds of lids here. Let's start with the standard lids. These standard lids don't have any seals on them whatsoever, other than whatever seal they can make with the plastic that they're built out of. Let me show you the edge here. And as you can see, there's no seal, no rubber in there at all. So I wouldn't even think those are airtight, but I'm going to test them with water anyway, see how they work with liquid, but I'm pretty sure they're not airtight, as I can, when I have them on the buckets, I can push them down and lift, and the centers will lift back up again, which means, hey, there's air coming into these things. So these are the 2 manufacturers. This is the Leak-Tite here, and this is the Encore. They're both HDPE 2 plastic. Again, not food grade, but as I explained, if you're doing this right, it doesn't matter if you're going to use it for food. Now, differences in these physically. Well, you can see the Encore plastic has a lot more of these little support pegs all the way around. I'm thinking that's going to make it a little stronger and a little harder to pull off the bucket, as it doesn't bend as much, and it seems to be a little stiffer plastic than the Leak-Tite. The Leak-Tite's more bendy, it's more malleable, and it seems that the edges seem to come up easier. So I'm thinking it won't seal as well as this one. Like I said, I'm going to do some testing. I'm going to fill them with water and do a little tip test on them and see how they work. Next, we have the Leak-Tite from, oh, by the way, I'm not sure whether I mentioned it or not, but these are $1.38 each from Lowe's or from Home Depot, so wherever you get them, they're the same price. I've seen them on Amazon. That you can get 10 of those for I think around $5, so I'll give you that link as well. Okay, this is the Home Depot Homer, a Leak-Tite plastic bucket top or lid, and as you can see, bring it closer, it's got a rubber seal that goes all the way around the inside. Okay, so I'm thinking that's going to help it become airtight and watertight. I'll test that out. The plastic again is HDPE number 2. and it seems to be a softer plastic than the Encore plastic that they use. Okay, so last is the Gamma Seal lid, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to pick that up, but it has a black rubber ring or O-ring seal all the way around it, much like the one on the Homer or the Home Depot lid. It seems to be a little fatter, but I mean, I don't think it makes much of a difference. No, it looks about the same. And take this lid apart. You see how that works? Okay, so the ring goes on to whatever bucket you want, and then the next part is the screw top, which also has an O-ring all the way around the edge here to seal it to this ring. So I'm going to test them all and see how waterproof they are, how tight they are, and I'll do a drop test on them as well. Tip test, sorry. I'm not going to drop them. I don't need to break the buckets. But I'm going to tip them and see if the lids continue to hold water. So I'm going to load each one of the buckets with 5 gallons and see what happens. Okay, there we have the Walmart bucket full of 5 gallons of water. And I'm just going to use the standard Encore Plastic Corp lid here and see how well it holds the water. What do I expect? I expect it to be splash resistant, water resistant, but I don't expect it to be watertight. Let's see what happens. Not sure whether you can see that or not, but I can press it down and it'll sink down, which means that the seal is actually letting the air in or out. So next we'll tip it sideways, see what happens. And as I predicted, it is water resistant but not waterproof. It's actually leaking some water through there right as we speak. Not bad though. I'm surprised. Actually much slower than I thought it would be. It has a better lid, a better seal on it than I thought it would have without the rubber. So I guess if you're going to put some liquid in here, something, some light liquids or even paint, and you're going to be, it's just going to be sloshing around the back of your truck or something, I think it's a pretty good solution because it's going to hold it in there pretty good if it falls over. Now let's do a tip over and see if that lid stays on. Okay, so I'm impressed. The lid stayed on. It isn't waterproof, but it's water resistant. It will keep the water, most of the liquid in there if it tips over, and it won't pop off if you drop it slightly like I just did. I don't want to hit it any harder than that. Okay, next we put the leak tight standard lid on there from, I believe I got that one from Home Depot, and it's the $1.38 one, which is equivalent to the Lowe's. It's a standard lid without any seals on it. Let's see if it leaks water. Most definitely, it leaks much more water than the other lid. So at this point, the other standard lid from the Encore plastic lid seems to be doing a better job at sealing that bucket than this one, that's for sure. Next, I'm going to try it with the Home Depot leak tight bucket and see what we get. Actually, I got to do a drop test. I didn't do a drop test though. Well, I'd say that the lid holds pretty well, but it does leak more than the other, for sure, when it is dropped or even when it's rolled around. So I would go for sealing capability on that Encore plastic bucket, the Walmart bucket, which is the same as the Lowe's bucket. I would go with the Encore plastic lid as well. Okay, next we're going to do the Encore lid again, this time on the Home Depot bucket, which is the leak-tight bucket. It seems to be a harder plastic, and it seems to take a better bite on the edge of this, on the edge of the bucket than the other one does, that's for sure. Okay, I'm rolling it, and it seems pretty tight. I mean, some water is going to come out of it, and some water is coming out of it, but very, very little. It has a very nice seal on it, even on the Home Depot bucket, which is a leak-tight bucket, not the Encore Plastic Sport bucket. So it doesn't seem to matter which bucket I put it on. It's better on either one. Let's do a drop test. Let's do the tip test first. Use the tip. Nothing. A little bit of water, not much there. Do it. And as I said, a little bit of water did come out, but you know, not bad. So again, that lid seems to be pretty good. It did deform a little bit from being hit, but I think it's plastic. It'll go back. Next, the leak tight, and it's a softer plastic. I do notice that. It seems to be sealing. Seems to be sealing better on this bucket than the on the Encore bucket on the leak tight. So, you know, but not better than the Encore lid did. Okay, so now let's do the tip. No big deal there. No, nothing. Yeah, you get a bit of leak when that happens. Yeah, well, it did deform a little bit, and it is leaking much more than the other lid. So the Encore Corp lid beats the leak-tight lid, in this case for sure, in either bucket. Next I'm going to use the leak-tight lid from Home Depot, and that's the one with the black seal on it, as you can see right there. And it also has these little perforations on the edge of the bucket. I think that's to make it easier to rip it open, I'm not sure. And it also has this little lock tab here, which you break open to unseal the whole bucket. I'm sure that this whole outer edge will come right off when that happens. So I'm going to test it with it, and then I'm going to take that off and see what happens after you unseal the lid. Sure how much of that leakage is no, I'd say it's not leaking much at all. Let's do the drop test. No issue. On this side. Okay, I got the lid on there good. I put a little mat underneath. I don't want to wreck my deck dropping these buckets on it. So I'm going to tip it over, see what happens. First, let's see if it's going to leak anything. Say not. Get a little bit of water out of there, but fairly tight bucket. Okay, next I'm going to break the seal all the way around the lip. There's the edge of the lip all the way off. Alright, I took that lid off now that it's got the lower locking plastic ring off. I'm going to put it back on. I've dried off the edges here. Make sure, nice dry edge. Do a roll test. Now water. Drop test. You get a little bit of water coming off of there. Bent the handle. No problem there. Yes, it's not super watertight, but it seals well enough. There's that. Okay, there we go. So it seems to work quite well on that bucket. Right, next I'm going to put this leak-tight lid from Home Depot and on the actual Lowe's bucket, which is the Encore quart bucket. It certainly feels more snug on this bucket than it does on the Home Depot bucket. Okay, let's roll it. Oh yeah. Yeah, not a drop out of it. Okay, let's do the tip test. No problem with the tip test. Sealed tight. Oh, got a little bit of leakage there, didn't we? Look at that. That's the seal came off when it dropped. So I'm going to try this test with an unbroken seal. Actually, I'm going to flip it over, do one more. See if it happens again. Yeah, definitely got some water coming off of that. Next we're going to test the Gamma Seal lid, and it's a screw-on lid with a locking retaining ring, and I'm going to try it on the Encore bucket first to see how that goes. Alright, that's on there about as tight as I can hand seal it. I'm sure you could get more on it if you put some sort of tool on it, but we're just going for hand seal. Let me dry the water off here. Okay. Well, no water leaking up right now. I'd say that's watertight on the roll test. Let's do the tip test. Water sprayed out here and here. So, didn't do too well on the tip test. Okay. Tighten that down even more here. Let's try this again. Alright, tip it again. Yeah, still got some water leaked out. So let's do the drop test. See what we get. Splashed everywhere, but did not fail. Do it again. And failure. You can see here that the thread let go and you got water all over the place. So not sure whether I even need to do this on the Home Depot bucket, but I will. That'll be next. Obviously not as good a lid as the orange Home Depot lid, but it is food grade. So if you're storing food, as far as in a food grade bucket, it's the safest one to go with. Okay, I'm going to try the Gamma lid, seal lid, the food grade lid on that Home Depot bucket, see if it seals any better than it did on the last one and survives the drops a little better. We'll see. Alright, let's do the roll test. I'm getting leakage here on the edge. Let's see if I can get that lid on tighter. Seems to expand a bit when you do that. Let's do that again. I'm getting a bit of leakage for sure. Let's do the tip test. Splash right out. I don't even need to drop it. I know that's going to fail. So, a Gamma lid, well, it's good for sitting it straight up and unscrewing it if you're going to use it like that. I'm just going to do the drop test on the Gamma lid anyway. Let's see what happens. First, I'm going to reseal it, just to be fair. Water everywhere. Let's do it again. Flip it around the other way. Getting water everywhere. You can even see the seal failed right there all the way. It popped the seal right off of it, right on the edge. That's what the white thing is. So, yeah, for food storage, in your pantry, locked up, yeah, but any other place where you're going to use it, hit it, roll it, whatever, it's going to leak out. Alright, it was an interesting experiment with these buckets. I would say if for a work bucket and utility bucket and something you're going to use a lot and kick around, that the Home Depot bucket is the superior one. Okay, it has the thickest handle, and it's slightly larger than the other two, which makes it, as far as I'm concerned, a little bit better. And it survived all the drop tests pretty well. Okay, you know, I'm noticing a little bit of dinging and denting on the edges of these here. Not as much on this one. Perhaps that's because this one is probably twice as wide. This lip is about twice as wide as this one. But I think they're all fine buckets. Now, as far as water tightness goes, well, I think they all perform equally well with the correct lid on them. Now, the worst lid out of all of these, I'd have to say, is the Gamma seal lid here. But to be fair to this lid is a food storage lid. It's basically, it's not made to do what I just did with it. It's not a utility lid, it's a food storage lid. So it's made to be used in a container that you're going to open and close a lot, and you need it sealed so that you don't get moisture in or lose moisture out of it. And I think that would work perfectly fine in that situation. No problem at all. But if you abuse it in any way, or as I did by dropping it and so on and so forth, it will fail. So you really can't trust this for, let's say, traveling with this lid. You'd have to be very careful the bucket doesn't tip, so on and so forth. So, you know, I don't naysay this lid. I just think that it has its purpose, and its purpose is to be on top of one of these buckets with food inside. Okay, and none of these buckets are food grade, by the way. So if you're going to put food inside them, make sure you put a liner in them, like one of these, a Mylar bag, 5-gallon Mylar bag. I'll probably do a video on that as well. And then you could seal it with this lid, no problem at all, in one of these buckets, because it's a food grade Mylar bag. So whatever chemicals are on the edges of these buckets, it won't leak into that food grade. Okay, so that's the caveat on this Gamma lid. It's fine lid. It's just not super duty or tough lid. It's not made to handle the kind of abuse I gave these lids. Now, out of the standard lids, there's the Leak Tight, Leak Right, and the Encore Plastics Corp. The Encore Plastics Corp is a superior lid. It's harder plastic. It's got a much tighter seal around the edge, probably because of these little plastic nibs on lids. Okay, the Leak Tight wasn't all that leak tight. It's a little soft. It doesn't clip on all that hard, but actually performed pretty well for something that doesn't have a rubber seal on it. Actually did quite a good job. Not as good as the Encore Plastics. This is a much harder plastic. It seems to have a much nicer bite on the edge of the bucket, and seems to seal the container quite well. For $1.38, I think this is your best bet out of those two. Okay, then we have the, let's see, Home Depot reusable bucket lid. It is $1.68. I would spend the extra 30 cents for this one, as it has a rubber O-ring all the way around the outside of it, which helps it seal. As you saw, it did quite well in the drop test and rolling test. And as you can, I did even take the locking lip off the edge of the lid, which made it a little easier to take off and a little easier to put back on. But I think this makes it a little more secure. So I would not take the locking lip or the strip off of it if I had this lid again. Okay, so that's my roundup on these buckets. Again, not food grade, but perfectly fine utility buckets. If you're going to use them for food purposes, get yourself a Mylar bag, a sealer, a vacuum, all that to put your food inside and not have any other chemicals go through. Now, why would you want to do that? Because the bag is about 50 cents and a food grade bucket is about I don't know, $35 for one of these. That's food grade. So do yourself a favor and go that route. Okay, just to be fair to the Gamo seal lid, or the Gamma seal lid, which is the food grade storage lid, this is how I would propose using it and how I am going to use it. Let's say we have a bucket and it's full of a long-term storage rice, let's say, or whatever, beans, and you're going to crack it open and use it, and then use it until it's done. So what I would do is, okay, well, here we have the long-term storage with the nice Home Depot sealed lid, and inside will be another sealed food bag, usually vacuum sealed. In this case it's not, but it doesn't matter. So we'll open it up. Of course, there's your bag of food, and you're going to open that up and then use it every day till it's done. So you're actually, using the food. So at that point, I mean, you could use this lid and put it on and off every time you open it up. But it might be easier for you just to use this. Put the Gamma Ring food grade seal on it. And that'll keep any little critters you may have running around, like if you have ants or something, from getting in there, and it'll keep it nice and sealed from moisture anyways when you're using it. So basically, alright, good enough. There it is, sealed. Tomorrow you come back to it, hey, I gotta get the food out for it to cook it. Pretty easy access. So that's, I think, the proper use of this lid. I wouldn't really count on it for shipping, and unless you can ensure that you can keep the container straight up. And if you keep the container straight up, I'm sure it would be perfectly fine. But if it's prone to tip, or if it's going to tip, then the seal will more than likely fail, like it did in the drop test. And like I said, I wouldn't ship any liquids in it, but I think it'd be fine for liquids if you had a food grade bucket, and it was just going to be sitting around like in your pantry or something. But for this purpose, it works great, right? Perfect. Get your rice, put it in your pot, close it back up, seal it. That's it for my video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a favor, click on the like button right down here. And you know, if you wish to subscribe to my channel, just click on this link up here. And that should subscribe you to the Richard Lloyd channel, or Richard Lloyd USA channel. Okay, again, thank you very much for your time and watching.